Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coryell, author of 22 books, Marine Corps veteran, founder of the Second Amendment March, proud father of 7, grandfather to 19 and counting, and as a special bonus, I'm also madly in love with my own wife. My priorities in life are God, family, and country, in that order, and I hereby promise to never compromise in my convictions. I may go broke, but I'll never go woke. And joining me today is my co-host and my wife, Sarah Coryell. You are looking stunning today.
Thank you.
You are so
You
welcome.
too.
So, Sarah, yesterday you did something different, probably that most wives don't do. What did you do yesterday?
We got to make soap together.
Yes, we made soap. It was very romantic, I thought. Very clean entertainment.
Yes, pretty clean.
I mean, most people don't make their own soap these days.
The oil makes quite a mess, though.
Oh, it does. And there's like olive oil and coconut oil and lye. And
My son does the dishes. He was complaining.
it was an
a
oily
lot,
mess.
yeah.
Yeah, well, you do that. If you folks want any of my wife's soap, she does sell it. So you just send me an email at skip@homedefenseshow.com. We'll set you up with some good, clean fun, okay? Sarah, tell us, who is on the show today?
Today, we get to speak with rock and roll legend Ted Nugent all about his relationship with his wife, with President-elect Donald Trump, and also with his mentor, Fred Bear. Then we'll discuss the self-defense scenario in our shootingclasses.com self-defense report with Steve Soltze from Missouri about women carrying pistols in their purse. That should be interesting.
That should be, and we'll probably end up talking about you because you carry in your purse.
I do.
Yeah.
There's some danger to it. There is.
It's potential danger,
Mm-hmm.
but if you do it right, you're okay. So, ladies, if you carry in your purse, you're going to want to listen to segment 4. Of course, you're going to want to listen to the whole show anyways.
Of course.
But, and Ted Nugent, oh my gosh. People either love Ted Nugent or they hate Ted Nugent. I happen to love him, and I've known him for, 30 years maybe. It's been a long time. No matter what you think about him, he's not boring. The guy's alive. He's like, every word is like breathing air and pumping blood that he says. So you guys are going to love that. But before we get too far into the show, let's thank our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, and Center Shot Indoor Gun Range. And now it's time for our Home Defense Show Quotes of the Week. And we'll let the ladies go first today.
Oh, thank you. Ladies. Actually, that was appropriate because your daughter actually found this morning. We read it, and I just had to share it. It's so good. This quote comes from the Book of Virtues by William J. Bennett. And in the story about the little hero of Holland, here is true fortitude, someone doing his duty despite pain and loneliness and danger. Someone willing to hold on, hold fast, and hold out as long as it takes. Someone whose resolution outweighs even the weight of the sea.
Wow. Actually, that is pretty good. That's pretty good. That reminds me of Marine Corps boot camp. Read that one more time.
Here is true fortitude, someone doing his duty despite pain and loneliness and danger. Someone willing to hold on, hold fast, and hold out as long as it takes. Someone whose resolution outweighs even the weight of the sea.
You got really serious this week with your quote. That
gave me chills every time I read it. I just love this one.
Well, that is pretty good. And, you got to be tough to live in our society right now because there's just so much garbage going on out there. Excellent quote. Mine isn't quite as profound.
I'm sure it's great. What you got?
Well, but you don't know what it is yet. Here it is. I am a bear of very little brain, and long words bother me.
Winnie the Pooh?
Winnie the Pooh, that's right.
Excellent.
A. Milne. I've always liked Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. the bouncing tiger that, it's just.
I'm sorry, I felt more sorry for Rabbit than Tigger most of the time.
Oh, yeah. And you ever have one of those Eeyore days? Oh, no. I woke
Thanks
up
for noticing
again.
me.
Oh, it's snowing. It's cold outside again. I had an Eeyore day yesterday, and you had to live through it. So I apologize. I feel much better today, though.
You got to go swimming. I think, yay for the swimming pool.
Yeah, well, I am a bear of very little brain, and long words bother me. I identify with that because I'm not a bear of very little brain, but I'm very simplistic.
Life is complicated?
Yeah, I just more of a bare bones basic kind of guy. So I've always loved that quote. All right, and now it's time for our home defense show hero of the week. So who's our hero this week, Sarah?
Well, our hero is a woman named Yvonne, and she comes from Los Angeles. So here's our story, guys. Police in Los Angeles are searching for a man who was caught on camera allegedly trying to kidnap a girl walking home from school before a neighbor intervened. It happened around 3:15 p.m. October 21st in the Wilmington area near M Street and Gulf Avenue. The man, described as a white or Hispanic man, possibly in his 20s or 30s, can be seen on a video approaching an 11-year-old girl from behind before fondling her inappropriately. "Hey, leave her alone!" Yvonne, a good Samaritan who lives in the area, who noticed what was going on, can be heard on video shouting. Yvonne says the suspect tried to tell her the girl was his niece before taking off, but she did not believe him. She and her brother followed the suspect, but he got away in a gray Nissan Kicks. Yvonne, a longtime resident of the neighborhood, told Fox 11 she was grateful to be in the right place at the right time to save the girl, who was believed to have been walking home from Wilmington Middle School. The suspect's car is described as having a space wheel mounted on the rear passenger side, LAPD said. They also said the suspect is about 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighs about 240 pounds. The man is a sexual battery and attempted kidnapping suspect, police said.
So what do you think about that?
I'm glad she said something. And she didn't even have to get physically involved. All she had to do was see and yell it across the street with confidence, and he knew he was doing the wrong thing and just backed away.
We always think of like the hero as, someone big and strong and tough and bold. This lady was bold, but she wasn't big and strong and tough. Sometimes the heroic thing is just standing up and saying, no, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. Because, this guy here, as soon as he thought he might get caught, boom, he was out of there. That was, Yvonne is just a hero. People don't think that you have to have a gun or overwhelming force or be powerful physically to do the right thing. She may have saved this 11-year-old girl's life here and certainly altered it. And that 11-year-old girl, just knowing that the neighbor is out there watching over her and cared enough to say something, that's going to help her self-esteem too.
Also, if this man is her uncle and things like this go on at home, but somebody out in the public can say, no, this is wrong, I think that will help the little girl in her little mind to understand this is wrong, and it's okay. I know it's wrong inside, but I don't have a voice. But someone in the neighborhood had a voice for her. So It was beautiful on a lot of levels.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, shout out to Yvonne in Los Angeles. You did a fantastic job. You are the Home Defense Show Hero of the Week.
Coming up next, we will speak with rock and roll legend Ted Nugent, all about his relationship with his wife, with President-elect Donald Trump, and also with his mentor, Fred Bear. Then we'll discuss a self-defense scenario in our shootingclasses.com self-defense report with Steve Soltze from Missouri about women carrying pistols in their purse.
All right, folks, I'm excited now. I can't wait to talk to Ted Nugent. We don't get to talk very often, but when we do, we have a really good talk. So Ted Nugent is coming up, a.k.a. the Whack Master. Figure out how we got that name. Commander Nugent. The Motor City Madman. Ted Nugent is coming up.
He's no Einstein, but he can read and write and feed himself just like a big boy. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show. Folks, we live in a dangerous world, and I want you to be able to protect and defend the ones you love. And that's why I have this show. It's my way of empowering you to accomplish one of your primary jobs in life. You are a protector and a defender. All right, listeners, before we get too far into the show, don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, shootingclasses.com, and Centershot Indoor Gun Range for all your training and equipment needs. Without our sponsors, this show wouldn't be on the air, so we thank you all. And now, I'd like to welcome a rock and roll legend, a greasy old bow hunter. He's also a best-selling author, an outspoken patriot, and as a special bonus, he can shoot a deer, cut it out, and have it freezer wrapped in under an hour. Ted Nugent, a.k.a. the Motor City Madman, the Whackmaster, the Nuge. Ted, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
I am welcome. I feel welcome. You people deserve me because my life is all about home defense, life defense. So God bless you for promoting the most important responsibility of a human being, and that is to overcome evil by being armed and capable of defending your life. God bless you, man.
Well, thank you. God bless you too, Ted. You know, this is all your fault. You got me into this kind of stuff about, 35, 40 years ago. So remember that Spirit of the Wild special you did for television? I think it was, PBS or something? You remember that?
Yeah, well, we've got, our Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild show is the longest running outdoor show because we started on public television. Basically, we penetrated the enemy territory television, and we promoted and celebrated. There's nothing to defend. A lot of people go, I love the way you defend hunting lifestyle. I promote and celebrate protection, hands-on conservation, and the protection of the Second Amendment, even though the Second Amendment has nothing to do with sport or recreation or hunting, but it is convenient when we like to keep them around. If you want to use an .6 on a moose. The point being is that we set records on public television when Shemane and I started celebrating and promoting this outdoor lifestyle, and it's called Ted Nugent Spirit of the Wild for 36 years. Is that awesome or what?
Well, yeah, that is. Now, Shemane, she was a city girl, wasn't she?
Yeah, she'd never touched the bow. In fact, she'd been, as the American propaganda ministry has been doing forever with anti-hunting, anti-gun lies, and I think I touched her in about 8 minutes. It's so instinctual. The right and the duty of self-sufficiency and self-defense is such a pure instinct. I think it rates right up there with motherhood. And any sensible person, which are most people, even if they've been brainwashed by the American anti-education system and the anti-freedom, anti-American media, which bribes them well, within a few minutes of listening to you or me about the preciousness of the gift of life from God and our moral, spiritual, intellectual opportunity, responsibility to defend that life and keeping their arms is the only way to do that, and balancing the herds and the healthy diet of venison available to mankind through a hunting, fishing, lifestyle. So within minutes, you've watched me all our lives, and I get it, I don't care if it's MTV or CNN, because I'm just a humble servant of God's miracle. I mean, the hunting, fishing, trapping lifestyle and life itself really is God's miracle. And we have a responsibility to serve him, and that's what self-defense is, and that's what conservation is. So Shemane and I fell in love right away, and now she's got her Queen of the Forest segment on Spirit of the Wild TV. If she's got her bow and arrow, if she got her Matthews bow, she shoots a 30-pound Matthews, and if she grabs her little pink 30-pound Matthews bow, I sharpen my knife. I'm so good at it, and the people love it. And it's also inspiring because she's so beautiful and so smart and so believable when she talks about the incredible upgrade in diet that venison provides and the soul-cleansing experience of the outdoor pursuit of reasoning predatorship. I think she's done more to promote conservation and the hunting lifestyle than anybody that I've ever seen, because I might scare you. Shemane doesn't scare anybody, so she's got a Real America Voice Faith and Freedom show that has really inspired and intrigued people to become hunters and fishermen, and even trappers. Yep, gals that trap, is that the ultimate or what?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I just love your wife. I listened to her interviews and stuff. She was on a show called The Godcast, and I was just really impressed. She is a really good, decent human being.
Well, Skip, I got to tell you, she just walked in the man cave Cooper's Nest Arsenal of Democracy, and she made me like, thank you.
Okay, did you plan this, Ted? And what do you want? Look, to hear about how great I am. So
Oh, now you know how men really feel about you, man, because we didn't know you were there.
I appreciate it. No, he didn't. I just walked in. So thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words.
Oh, you are so welcome. It's got to be rough holding down a guy like Ted Nugent. I mean, the madman, and you like made him sane. You tamed him. What is your secret?
Well, I'm waiting for my induction to sainthood.
You use the term like the love affair of the foundation of family, marriage. And we really are soulmates.
Ted, he wore off on me. I wasn't always this spoken. Mm-hmm. I've seen I wore off on him and he wore off on me. So it's about wear and tear, I think.
It's a team effort. She really has made it different.
Ted, that's awesome. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the food supply. You're always talking about venison and how clean of a meat that it is. One of the problems that we have at the Coriel tribe is my wife and two of my kids cannot eat regular food. Anything processed, anything from the store, they can't eat it. So I had to go out and I had to shoot 9 deer to go ahead and feed my family this year. And of course, that's a lot more fun to shop. But talk about the food supply for a second and clean, healthy eating, because I know that's big with you and with Shemane both.
Well, one of the reasons we created hunternation.org, I hope everybody will visit hunternation.org. It's a nonprofit 501c3 that has inspired conservatives, conservationists, constitutionalists. Boy, there's the triad of quality of the American dream, huh?
Yeah.
And we've inspired the apathetic and the non-participant in the conservation community to get voting. And so we voted for Donald Trump, and isn't it fantastic that he actually has a battle cry, Make America Healthy Again, with Robert Kennedy Jr., where everything at the grocery store sells is chemical warfare. All of our food in America is illegal. Everywhere else in the world, in the obesity, the heart disease, the sickness, the cancer, it's an industry based on the corruption of the FDA and the USDA and the IRS and the FBI, for that matter, where they just don't care about Americans getting cancer and getting fat and slow and weak and blindly obedient. So I've always promoted clean and sober. Hello, you're a grounded guy. That's the ultimate compliment people give my family all the time.
Ted, we're out of time for this segment, but we're going to come back here in a second. And, you mentioned Donald Trump. I want to talk about that guy for just a second. So, all right, during the break, I want you guys to get back in fighting shape. So drop down and give me 50 push-ups using perfect form. And always remember this, a healthy, fit person fights better and is harder to kill. God bless and stay safe. We will be right back.
Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If this sounds good to you, you sound good to me. And I'd like to help you do those things. Avoid danger, save lives, and keep your loved ones safe. If you're looking for more excitement in your life, we have nothing to offer you. But if you are a thoughtful, responsible, nonviolent man or woman, we'd love to teach you what to do if something crazy happens. More importantly, we'd like to teach you what not to do. We currently have over 500,000 members. They are doctors and single moms and firemen and grandmothers and veterans and Democrats and Republicans and members of every faith. But the one thing they all have in common is that they know exactly what to do if something crazy happens. When you're with one of our members, you are safe. Our members know how to de-escalate situations. They know how to calm things down. We are the United States Concealed Carry Association. See what we're all about at usconcealedcarry.com.
Discover the little-known backstory of the U.S. Concealed Carry Association at usconcealedcarry.com.
The mere sound of his voice makes women swoon and men storm the gates of hell. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. I'm your host, Skip Coryell, and now let's continue our conversation with rock legend Ted Nugent. All right, Ted, we talked about health and all kinds of stuff, and we could go on about that for hours, but you mentioned Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is like... He's like one of my heroes, right? The guy's just so brave, and I know his public persona, you know, everything I see on television, but you can't always believe all of that. And so I know that you probably know him personally. What is Donald Trump like when the cameras aren't rolling?
Well, we've known each other a long time, Skip, and Skip Coryell is Coryell. Case closed. That's it. I don't care if there's a camera rolling or a microphone or we're just hanging around a campfire. You're going to be true and honest to yourself, and I know what you are. You walk the walk, and you live the honest lifestyle. How I would describe Donald Trump, Keith Mark and I, who created HunterNation.org, and once again, I hope everybody goes there because this apathy that destroyed America. It's not the Marxists, not the liberals, not the Democrats. It's conservatives that were sitting out the responsibility of experimenting in self-government. When we met the candidate Trump, he was such a defiant guy. My favorite thing about the American dream is the middle finger. The founding fathers raised a middle finger to the kings and the tyrants and the dictators and the Führers and the emperors of the world. Donald Trump was an outsider. And what you see is the real McCoy. He doesn't put on airs. He doesn't play games. If you're not funny, you can't be at my campfire. And that's what Donald Trump is. He's the kind of guy that would just let it rip around the campfire, even though he's not an outdoorsman, but his sons Eric and Todd Jr. certainly are. So what you see is what you get. And he's the defiant one. He identified the corruption and criminality of the deep state mafia Uncle Sam. We know we needed that. And now in 2024, even though he did it in 16 and 20, I guarantee it, 24, it was too big to rig. So conservatives, constitutionalists, and conservationists who had never voted before, we have the statistics. We inspired them, and I take full credit for it, but HunterNation.org, we went to every licensed hunter in those 7 battleground states. I did robocalls. We knocked on doors. We sat down, did emails and texts, and we woke up hundreds of thousands of hunters that had never voted before, Skip. They voted this time, and more importantly, they got their family and friends, people at church, school, the whole place, your camp, a bowling, barbecue, shooting range. They told their fellow conservatives that the reason the enemy was winning is because the good guys weren't fighting, and us fighting is voting those core values. So, HunterNation.org, along with Gun Owners of America, the United States Concealed Carry Association, there's some really great organizations out there that really emphasize the importance of conservatives to vote. And that's what we did, and so we're on the right track now. Hallelujah, folks.
All right, this is Skip Coryell on Home Defense Show. We're speaking with Ted Nugent. All right, you know, Ted, you were born and raised in Michigan, lived there for a great deal of your life, and I'm still here, been here my whole life. But I was so ashamed of Michigan for, you know, the last 10 years or so, just because people, they weren't standing up, they weren't loud and proud, they weren't speaking out, and, you know, we elected a bunch of weenies to, you know, the state house and the state senate and the governor and the secretary of states and the attorney general, all a bunch of, you know, anti-Second Amendment weenies. And it's like we just now got back the state house this year, a slim majority, but we got it back. What do you have to say to Michiganders on our journey back to sanity? Give us some encouragement.
Well, you know, I was born and raised in Detroit, and 76 years a real honest-to-God Michiganian. I'm here in the swamp of southern Michigan right now talking to you. I'm having the greatest hunting season of my life with Shemane and my sons and daughters, my grandkids, and we have a sunrise safari, so I've already shared a campfire with over 100 American families. They come every weekend in September, October, November. So I know the heart soul of the best people in the world. And the best people in the world, hunters, fishermen, trappers, entrepreneurs, They happen to be hunter fishermen and trappers. Yes. And Michigan has the best people in the world. I moved to Texas 22 years ago because we got really sick based on a lion construction outfit that poisoned our house with Stachybotrys mold. We were being treated in Texas. We decided to stay there for the very reason people took my skip. Michigan has gone to hell. The DNR is the enemy of hunters. The DNR is the enemy of conservation. The governor is the enemy of freedom. The attorney general is the enemy of the Constitution that she swore an oath to and violates every day of her life. The Secretary of State. Michigan, politically, heartbreakingly, embarrassingly, has become a spoof of San Francisco. The good people of Michigan are now waking up. We did a review, Skip, and this is the heartbreaking point, and this is why we created Hunter Nation and huntthevote.org. 61% of licensed hunters in Michigan had never registered to vote. Yep. 61% made non-participants. They were bending over and letting the Marxists of Gretchen Whitmer take over and destroy the NRC and the DNR and the whole state. We got them to vote like never before. In fact, in all 7 battleground states, we turned the tide with hunternation.org, where we badgered them. I mean, I did robocalls, and I was not a sweetheart. I spoke them. How can you complain about the loss of freedoms, not fight to regain them by voting your core values?
Yeah.
By the way, Skip, you've noticed, even though we moved to Texas a long time ago, still fight every day to make Michigan the real Michigan that I was raised in. My buddies at hunternation.org and huntthevote.org. When conservatives and when licensed hunters vote, America wins.
Yeah, for sure. Ted, thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. You know, I just want to talk about one more thing. Talk about Fred Bear.
When I spent my last camp with Fred in 1987, I hunted with him for over 40 years. He welcomed me into his life. We met him when I was a little boy, and I finally realized he was basically very important. And to meet a man like Fred Bear and see that he fought against the anti-hunting, anti-nature animal rights scam artists, it inspired me to help him. In the last hunt in 87, he told me to keep doing what I was doing, to do it in the rock and roll, defiant, big mouth that I do, because the enemy had a big mouth, but nobody on our side had a big mouth. So when he died that April in 88, after our last hunt together, it was a wreck. You can hear it in the song. I cried through the entire recording process. In fact, I got my band, Michael Lutz and Gunnar Ross, together. The day that lick came out, my guitar, and I could hardly talk. I was sobbing. And I said, find a studio right now. So a couple hours later, we went to Pearl Town in Canton. And I think I went through 3 boxes of Kleenex just showing the guys the song pattern. And take one, Yep, that's what you heard.
Wow.
And so that song has become the soundtrack for families all across this country. I thank you people so much for making that the top. It's the most requested song for 36 years in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. So thank you, everybody, celebrating this great man. What a great inspiration he remains.
Ted, thank you. Thank you for that story. Man, it's amazing. I never knew him, but I feel like I did know him.
You know Fred Bear.
Yeah. And at the end, that touch that you put at the end where he talks, that was genius. All right, well, Ted, hey, I want to thank you for your friendship, your service to our country, and for helping to teach me how to hunt. And thanks for coming on the Home Defense Show today.
Thank you, Skip. Home defense is very, very important. So you're doing God's work, and I salute you, man.
All right. This is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Coming up next, we'll be speaking with Steve Sulzy from the great state of Missouri as we get some expert advice on the details of self-defense in our shootingclasses.com self-defense report. All right, folks, now it's time to hone your marksmanship skills. Let's do some dry fire practice, about 100 perfect trigger presses. Remember that the trigger is the heart of the beast. You conquer the trigger, you conquer the beast. But make sure the gun's unloaded and there's no live ammo in the room. God bless and stay safe. We will be right back.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
At Center Shot Gun Range, we are passionate about training. Don't know where to start? We offer a 1-hour new shooter seminar to introduce you to the world of firearms and help you find training opportunities specific to you. Concealed carry, home defense, firearm safety, AR-15, private one-on-one training, custom training, or maybe you're on a security team looking to protect your church or business. We even offer weekday morning and evening classes. Center Shot Gun Range has you covered. Start your journey at centershotgunrange.com.
Firearms training should be easy. Instructors can focus on teaching and not worry about all the complex paperwork and management behind the scenes. Just pull the trigger and let us do the administrative work. Welcome to shootingclasses.com.
They say he eats crayons and his knuckles drag on the ground, but that's only half true. Welcome back to the Home Defense Show with Skip Coriel.
And that was the beautiful and sultry voice of Golden Glenn, the official announcer of the Home Defense Show, and I'm your host, Skip Coriel. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, United States Concealed Carry Association, ShootingClasses.com, and Center Shot Indoor Gun Range for all your training and equipment needs. And now it's time for our weekly self-defense report, sponsored by ShootingClasses.com. And today we're speaking with firearms instructor Steve Sulzy from the great state of Missouri. Steve, welcome back to the Home Defense Show.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate you having me back.
Well, Steve, it's a very disturbing story. I'll read the article, and I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about it. A Tennessee mother is mourning the death of her teen daughter after police said that she accidentally shot and killed her while rummaging in her purse for her keys. The Metropolitan Nashville Police Department said that they are investigating the death of 13-year-old Deria Radley. Authorities said that the teen's mother, Deanne Radley, frantically called 911 around 10 p.m. Saturday. Radley told police that she was reaching into her purse and accidentally pushed the trigger on her loaded .40 caliber semi-automatic pistol while searching for her keys. Police said that the handgun discharged and shot through her purse, fatally killing her daughter. The teenager was rushed to the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital emergency room, where police say she died from a single gunshot. Radley told local NBC affiliate that her world is falling apart. The Nashville police said no charges have been made. All right, that's what we know. Steve, what's your initial take on that?
You know, definitely tragic and unfortunate for sure, but at the same time, could have been prevented. We refer to negligent discharges, as not accidental. That was a perfect example of what would be considered, an accidental discharge / negligent discharge, meaning the fire discharged when it was not pointed in the safe direction or at something you were wanting to shoot, and you were not meaning to pull the trigger. A couple things that come to mind with this is probably wasn't in a holster. And if it was not a good holster. So that right there could have mitigated, this tragedy.
Yeah, I agree 100%. You hear about this not too often, thankfully, but every once in a while you hear about things like this. And I know when I'm teaching classes, a good majority of the women, they don't like holsters. They want to carry it in their purse, and I'm certainly fine with that. But there's just certain rules that you got to follow if you're going to carry it in your purse. And you already mentioned one. You talked about the holster. Probably wasn't a good holster. If it was in a holster, the trigger wasn't covered up, or else this never would have happened. What other advice can you give ladies who are talking about or thinking about getting a gun and keeping it in their purse?
Yeah, we actually don't recommend a purse carry for a female as a primary. If you're going to carry in your purse as the only option, it needs to be a temporary option because you're in a bathing suit or something like that, where you don't have the ability to put it on your body. And the reason for that is you're never going to be able to make that draw to your pistol the exact same. So every time you go to access it, if you got it just rolling around in a purse, you're not going to be able to get a good grip. You're not going to find it, or you're going to have a negligent discharge. And then, the argument is, oh, well, there's shooter ready purses and this and that. And then our argument is, I also own a hands-on Krav Maga, self-defense business. And, most assaults with females, the attacker either grabs or steals the purse. Now you've lost your weapon. If they steal your purse, not only have you lost your valuables, but also your purse along with it. And then the market says, they came out with steel strapped purses so that the straps can't be cut or can't be broken. Yes, that's true, but now you're being choked with a steel cable around your neck, and that is being used as a weapon against you also, which we've seen. So, purse carry is not ideal if it's a secondary weapon, like a backup, or in a scenario where you don't have any option because of your clothing that day or whatever. But at the end of the day, whether you are or you aren't, you got to be training with wherever you are carrying it. And if you're carrying it in a purse, it needs to be in a fully Kydex encased holster with the trigger covered so that incidents like this don't happen. And in addition to that, in a scenario like this is also why we stress to have trauma medical training. Didn't give details on where the gunshot wound was, whether it was to, a body cavity or an appendage. Obviously, if it was an appendage, being able to apply on a tourniquet could have potentially, saved her daughter's life, where it stopped and or reduced the bleeding by the time that, ambulance showed up. If it was in a body cavity, knowing how to pack a wound, slow or stop that bleeding. Some basic skills that everyone should have, especially if you're carrying a firearm for scenarios like this. At the end of the day, it all boils down to safety protocol. You've got to respect the weapon anytime that you're carrying that gun, whether it's on your body or in your purse or even in the holster, in the gun safe, wherever it is, you got to be fully cognizant and safe with it.
This is Skip Coriel, and you're listening to the Self-Defense Report, sponsored by ShootingClasses.com, as we discuss self-defense with firearms instructor Steve Sulzy from the great state of Missouri. Yeah, everything that you said, it's absolutely spot on. I don't cringe when women tell me they want to carry in their purse, but I am concerned about it simply because my wife carries in her purse. And Sarah and I, we went around and around on this for a long time, because one tendency that women have is they'll put the gun in their purse, but they've been carrying this purse their whole life a certain way. And have you ever watched a woman set her purse down and walk away from it, Steve?
All the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way that it is. It's like a man in his briefcase. I mean, he would set it down or whatever. But man, when you got a gun in that purse, it's a real big game changer. So what my wife and I did is we just sat down, we put our heads together and say, okay, I know you want to carry in your purse. You don't want to carry on your hip or your waist or whatever. So what we decided on is that she would carry two purses. And she has her regular purse, which is big enough to choke a mule, and a big purse. And then that just goes on her shoulder on a strap. And then she carries a second purse, which is much, much smaller, and it opens with a zipper. It's just big enough to carry her 5-shot revolver in. And that one never leaves her body. It stays right there. And whenever she opens the zipper, it's always in the same position. It's fairly safe. So she did that, but I know most women do that, and that's the reason that I just shy away from that. But I don't know, what are you going to do? At the end of the day, women have different concerns, and
Sure.
How do you talk to a woman about this? Do you just tell them the story of what might happen and scare them, or?
I mean, it's an education thing. Kind of try to explain the pros and the cons of each of on the body and off the body carry. And, we don't like to tell people to do things or recommend things just because, hey, we're considered the expert in this field. Like we want to give options. We want to give our opinion, but also we want to give facts and data. based on why we're recommending what we're recommending. And those things that I stated earlier are the facts and the data, but also, when it's off the body, it's an afterthought. So like you mentioned, if the purse is not in the same spot or it's not even on your body, then it's going to be an afterthought. You're not going to be able to access that in that time of need. It's already hard enough to be able to draw from concealment from a 3 o'clock position when you're somewhat alert to a threat.
All good advice, good things. How can people contact you or find out more about the training that you offer?
They can jump online, xtdstl.com, for our firearms training. That's extreme tactical defense. And then for our hands-on Krav Maga self-defense is xkmstl.com, extreme Krav Maga.
Awesome. Well, Steve, I want to thank you very much for being on the Home Defense Show today. Your analysis was spot on as always, so thank you, and stay warm this winter.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, folks, this is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show, and that about wraps it up for this week's show. I've had a good time, and I hope you have too. Please don't forget to thank our sponsors, Center Shot Indoor Gun Range at centershotgunrange.com, shootingclasses.com to help you find the right trainer for your needs, and the United States Concealed Carry Association. For all your self-defense needs, go to uscca.com. All right, I've written 20-plus books, and they're all available on Amazon.com in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. This week, check out my book, We Hold These Truths. The first person to email me at skip@homedefenseshow.com will get a free signed copy of the book. And if you want training from me in person, then check out Midwest Tactical Training at shootingclasses.com. Please join us again next week for all your home defense needs. In the meantime, God bless and stay safe.
Thank you for joining us this week on The Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!